Welcome to Bookology. Today we are going to present our first book, Natives from Akala. Most of you know Akala as a rapper, as a UK rapper, but we will talk about him today as an author. Okay. Um, First of all, I want to start with different topics. We are going to talk first of all about education. And while I'm introducing this topic, we are going to see, I'm going to talk to you about a little story before we can discuss education in the UK. I'm here today with Patrick, who is also an Afro-Caribbean, more specifically from Jamaica. He is also a professional, has a career, and has made a name for himself. So the story I will start with is I was actually in the studio and I was reading Natives, and I was listening to young rappers, young Afro-Caribbean rappers, and they were, you know, wondering what was I reading, and I just claimed just like that. You know what? For me, Akala is the best UK rapper in the UK. And then they look at me like in a way like a little bit like dubious, like what? No. They were saying no. The best UK rapper is actually Stormzy, and their reasons were because he had the numbers. And I realized for those young rappers, you are seen as a successful rapper according to the numbers or how much or money you are making. And I was wondering if they knew how lucrative is the book industry. I was wondering, are they aware of how much money you can make by writing a book? How they could use their skills, they could use their actual skills, to their writing skills to actually write books about anything they can think of. Um, so, thinking about education, what can you tell us about your experience of education in the UK?
Right, for me personally, um, growing up in the UK in London in the 70s,
Hmm.
started primary school late 70s, it was pretty hard. And I've got to say, like Akala, he experienced problems with teachers. I had the same experience in primary school, especially the infants. I had a specific teacher who basically called me the class clown. That was my name. Yeah, all the other teachers knew me as that as well. And my school reports always said Patrick is the class clown. He's very disruptive, likes to play, doesn't focus, blah blah blah. This and it basically um, it basically became a bit of a problem with me thinking that I mean I can't learn because she said I was not putting my time and effort in, and that basically I was just too disruptive, always playing, and that wouldn't amount to much. Um, I told my mum about it, and my mum eventually got very annoyed when she saw one of my parents' evening reports. She took it to the headmaster. She made a lot of noise about it. Real made. She reported him and the actual school, and a lot of problems she stirred up within the school, and it changed slightly. I'm not saying straight away, but it changed. But basically, it did put in mind it did instill a bit in my mind that I mean I really couldn't amount to much, and I didn't think that I mean I was really academic in it, and it kind of pushed on even to secondary school. But I gotta say, my mum helped out a lot with rounding me and making me think that I mean I am somebody and I can achieve.
Okay, very good, very good. So yes, indeed, I kind of discussed the importance of labeling and how detrimental it can be for students from Afro-Caribbean um, origin or African origin or whatever ethnic group you are from. Those labels um, that can be racially biased or racially motivated, can prevent students from doing their best, to achieve their best in academia and things like that. So he explained very well through his experience how he almost abandoned um, education, how he almost, if it wasn't for the support of his mother, the same way you've been supported by your mother, if it wasn't for the support of his mother, he would have probably abandoned education and never been, the successful author, the successful rapper that he is today, the successful person that he is today. Um, the next topic that I would like to discuss is race. It is important to point out that Akala often introduced himself as being half Jamaican and half Scottish. Um, he just simplified like this because obviously there is different also ethnic group in his identity, but he make it simple. Half Jamaican and half Scottish. Another point that I found also interesting is the fact that he chose to identify himself to his Afro-Caribbean identity. Um, Now, I cannot actually explain how it feels to be a Caucasian. I wouldn't be able to understand, how they feel among themselves, how they feel in relations to other ethnic groups.
Yeah.
But I will discuss, our experience, what we have similar, what we have in common with Akala. So, um, what does it mean to be Caribbean in the UK?
Well, for me, I've always been proud of my heritage. My mum has always taught us, to be proud of who we are, where we're coming from, and always never to, to be ashamed of being black. Um, I've got to say that my mum, just like Akala, she's been a pivotal, um, real help. Growing up as a single parent with my mum around, bringing up the four of us, she really instilled in us to work hard. She was a nurse. She worked at long hours, did night shift, but she always made sure that, she provided the best that she could for us, even though we're coming from a poor background. And she instilled always to study as hard as you can, put the time in, put the effort in, and you can achieve something. And I think growing up listening to my mum, even from watching her at primary school, in trying to help me, it's definitely rounded me as a person to want to achieve, regardless of the circumstances and sometimes the bias that you get in the workplace. I've always wanted to make sure that I can still reach to a certain level that I know that I'm good enough as well.
Has race been a factor that prevented you or allowed you to be a successful person today?
I think it's been a factor, because obviously I know that as a black person you always got to do and go the extra mile, always, because you're always in the workplace, especially the corporate where I've worked in finance and I've worked also in the government. You've always got to go the extra mile. You've always got to be 120, 130% better than your white counterpart, if you want to achieve. So I've learnt that, and if I want to get somewhere, I'm always going to have to make sure I push it that bit more in the interview, proving myself to a manager or whoever. I always have to push it a little bit more, always, and that's I've always had to. I know that's part of race.
Okay. So what the way Akala put this is that he's from a working class background, and him and his peers have always worked hard, and most of them are a lot of them, I'm going to say, at least those that he's talking about in this book, are very successful. Some are baristas, some are doctors. So they are working, they are very successful, they are in a position of almost of power. But sometimes, even with that position, that comfortable position, they find themselves where their race was in question, their position was in question, and they preferred not actually confront those who were actually questioning the reason why they were actually here. Okay, whether it is um, with their colleagues or other people, they almost had to explain why they were here, and that's the issue that I find very interesting um, in the way Akala explains his experience and the experience of his peers, is that race should not be um, determine should not determine whether you are going to be successful, but is your willingness to become someone, and
Yes.
obviously the support and also maybe the help that you can have, along the way. Right. So the next topic I would like to discuss is the police and the relationship that the police has with Afro-Caribbean and African alike. Akala discussed his experience from the 1980s to today's society, to recent years, and the relationship that certain ethnic minorities have had with the police has um, determined the way some young people are seeing the police, or the way they think about the police. What was your experience? What was your first experience with the police?
My first experience would have been, again, same time, around the early 80s, teenager, about 15. I got stopped by the police. It wasn't probably my fault as well. Running from them made it worse. But that's what it is. What it is. The first time I've been stopped. So I ran. Apparently, I fitted the description of somebody who's stolen something in the shopping centre. They had me up against the wall, searched me, didn't find anything, but they still dragged me off to the police station, and then they contacted my mum. She wasn't very happy. She made a lot of noise. And obviously, after that, you have a different mindset of the police. Once you've been stopped once in a negative way. And then obviously, stories of your friends' experiences as well. You're like, oh, geez, they're all the same. And in all honesty, every time I got stopped, even for the most ridiculous thing, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You look suspicious. It's always the same thing. You fit the description of you look suspicious. Why are you out so late? You're at a bus stop. I'm waiting for a bus officer. But, it's the same thing. Yeah? And then straight away, they're ready to want to pat you down and search. Why, I don't know, if I'm at a bus stop going home. But, this is the negative connotations that always seem to appear. And then you just became kind of oblivious that you just like, I've got no trust in these people. I don't really want to ask them even for direction, because at the end of the day, every time they stop you, you already know what they're going to be stopping you for. It's going to be something negative. And you just got fed up with them. And, it kind of put your defense mechanisms up.
Yeah. What was interesting as well in Akala's book is that he's been given a a document that was supposed to help him to um, to show his right, to tell the policeman that he has rights. And despite that document that was supposed to help him, to deal with the police, the police, I mean, his experience with the police is that they have absolutely declined any right that he may have. They dismiss his claim that he's a British citizen almost, and the fact that a young African or African or anyone that comes from an ethnic minority cannot even use the law against the oppression of the police is quite worrying, and it feels like we don't have any power against the police. So yeah, so I just wanted to give you a kind of overview of Akala's book. Obviously, he's talking about many other subjects, like for example, the relationship between Britain and America. Um, he's going to talk about heroes such as Mandela and things like that. So I would really recommend you to have a read, and you will really feel like you can relate to his experience, and or discover, if you can't relate to his experience, you can at least discover from a social class and a racial perspective how he feels to be a citizen brought from the Caribbean, invited from the Caribbean or India to the UK. So thank you very much. This was Bookology, and this is your platform for discovery of knowledge. Thank you very much. Peace.